I want to see what he has to say real quick.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Angry, Loud, Bald Guy, White Guy. Oh god, white in 2025. Holy shit. Welcome back to another episode.
Alright, dude. He's obviously placating to those people that are like, oh my god, these lefty liberals just want to like ruin our lives. Right? He's just being completely obtuse for no reason.
White, loud, angry, bald guy yells at the internet. In case anybody's wondering, how am I doing? Honestly, I'm doing pretty good. I'm like, what? I'm like past like the strings. How do I say this without spoiling anything? I'm at the point in Silk Song where there's a bunch of bugs attached to a bunch of strings.
Nobody cares.
That's where I'm at. Just beat that boss. Great game, having a blast. I broke my bench PR. Don't want to reveal how much, but anyways, I've been on break for maybe about 8 days now, 9 days now. For me, it feels like an eternity. I fucking miss content creation so much, and anybody who's following my Twitter sees that. I've been a fucking menace on Twitter today, man. I'm not gonna lie, but
keep in mind, this is the same guy that said that he was leaving Twitter. This is the same guy that said he was leaving Twitter because he felt like it was bad. No, not leaving Twitter, but leaving content creation temporarily because he was like following the wrong things, such as like being angry all the time. So that's what he said before he left. Yeah, guys, I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna leave for a while. Not sure when I'll be back, but to be honest, my mind is clouded. I'm just angry every day. I'm crashing out over nothing, and I don't want my resentment guiding me. So this is why he left, because he's angry every day. He's crashing out over nothing, and I don't want my resentment guiding me. Immediately, he decides to quit content creation, at least for the meantime, temporarily, so that he can get his bearings. And now, he says that he's been being a menace on Twitter, that he's been crashing out on Twitter. Are you not potentially also being angry and insecure on Twitter as well? I'm saying things I don't mean. I'm tilting out over the smallest things. The worst thing is I still can't even explain to you guys why I'm so angry, and that's what's frustrating me the most. Okay. So this guy's went on break because he was always angry. Because he was always mad. But here he is crashing out on Twitter like every fucking moment of the day. He just can't fucking resist getting attention. He died scared and alone. The vast majority of news outlets aren't covering this tragedy because it doesn't fit their agenda. What are you talking about? This fucking story has gone like, what do you... I hate when people like say the vast majority of news outlets aren't covering this tragedy. This story is everywhere. This story is literally everywhere. It's on CNN. It's on New York Post. It's on AP News. It's on ABC News. It's on New York Times. It's everywhere. It's on the BBC. Or maybe even a few hours before, he's like looking at this fucking field and going like, beautiful. Like, shut the fuck up. You performative. This is the type of guy that goes out and buys matcha in front of his girl to impress them. Okay, this guy is definitely going on an anti-black tirade. I can already feel it. Why are you posting this? Why are you posting this? Dude, what a disgusting piece. Okay. This guy is nothing but a performative head, man. Like straight up lying about this situation, saying it's not being talked about in any major news outlet. It is. It absolutely is. Just because you don't see it on Twitter doesn't mean that it's not being talked about on like any major news outlet. It's everywhere.
A horrible, horrible thing happened on Twitter. Well, not Twitter, in real life. But in case you don't...
This guy's so f***ing internet brained. This guy needs to like buzz off for a good month or a year.
Don't know. I'm about to tell you what happened. And there was a woman by the name of Irina Zaruski. Hopefully I'm saying that right. I'm probably...
You don't have to fucking pretend like you care. You do not have to pretend like you care. This guy does not care.
Not. This woman, 23-year-old woman from Ukraine.
Why are you playing even a half of the footage on your YouTube video if you care so much? If you have so much respect?
And
why?
Escaped her war-torn country with the Putin war going on in Ukraine. Came to America. Is riding public transit.
You don't have to explain. You don't have to give me the obvious details. Why? Why are you uploading this to YouTube?
Muttering to himself repeatedly, I got that white girl. I got that white girl. Not good. This is about the third white woman that has died by a black man in the past 72 hours.
Yeah, if you cared, you would have searched how to say it. If you actually cared, you would have ingrained that name into your mind. You would have found a proper way of saying the name instead of butchering it and being like, oh, I'm sorry if I'm butchering it.
On the internet, and I'm going to give my full opinion on what this...
No, we don't care about your fuck-ass opinion. We don't care about your opinion. You're going to utilize... Okay, immediately what you're doing here, subtly, even though most people aren't going to realize this, is that 8 hours ago, after a fresh story breaks, you decide to film a video probably a few hours after you witnessed the situation, upload it in the middle of the night because you want to capitalize on getting attention for being a sympathetic individual that cares about refugees, that cares about poor war-torn individuals, even though that's obviously not the case, given the fact that you've never covered anything about, like, Israel-Palestine, for example, meaningfully. You probably never covered anything in regards to Ukraine versus Russia meaningfully as well. You're obviously using this as a racially motivated, politically influenced video. You're going to start giving your takes about how crime rate is at an all-time high, about how black people keep doing this. And you do it subtly. You don't care about the situation. You're using this to feign sympathy. You're using this to make it seem as if you're like this altruistic, virtuous individual when you're not. This is so disgusting. This is actually so gross. In the first, dude.
It's all means. Sorry if I seem all over the place. I rarely ever get truly bothered.
Did he really say he got the white girl, the new set? Yeah. I believe I heard audio of that earlier when I was scrolling Twitter. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Things that I see on the internet, but this was a special case.
Yeah, like if you actually cared about this situation, like you could do a planned video. You could plan the topics at hand, because I guarantee you what he's gonna do is that he's gonna regurgitate talking points off of Twitter, not actually have done any of his own research. He's not gonna read into any potential unbiased articles. He's not going to investigate any potential, dynamics or nuances, because yes, while this might have been a racially motivated crime, at least from what it appears to be, based on what Twitter is saying, it could just be that this guy has an indiscriminate record of attacking anybody. But that's not exclusive to a black person. That's not exclusive to a white person either. Indiscriminate murderers, psychopaths, come in all shapes, colors, and sizes. It doesn't matter who it is. It just matters what their background is.
Ever post about things like this, but I might start doing this more often.
Okay, yeah, he's virtue signaling. I never post about things like this. I might start doing this more often. Okay, so do you really care, or do you just want to be front and center of a story?
Because I'm seeing a lot of content creators afraid.
I'm seeing a lot of content creators afraid. No. Everyone and their moms is talking about this because it's an easy racially motivated story that'll get a bunch of clicks that everybody's interested in because it's black versus white. That's what it's been politicized to by X, and that's a narrative that you subtly fed into.
To talk about this unless they're already in this field of space. This is one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen, because the entire system of America is completely broken. You may not be from America, you may not care, so from Europe or some other country,
Go on, pal. The entire system of America. This guy's acting as if tragedies don't happen in other parts of the world on a daily basis that are significantly worse than this. What a self-centered asshole. Yes, there's horrible things that happen in America. That's true. And it is absolutely tragic whenever anybody loses their lives, especially in such a motivated attack like this. Motivated for whatever reason it might be, who knows? It could be racially motivated. It could just be motivated because this person hates women. It could be motivated because this person just wanted to murder somebody on the subway that day. It doesn't necessarily mean that this is like a racial crime. But essentially, my point is that you want to talk about tragedies and how fundamentally broken America is. You should probably also be talking about how fundamentally broken other regions in the world are as well. Didn't Israel recently bomb Qatar? Hello? Who do you think funds that? I'm not trying to distract from this very obvious victim. I'm not trying to distract from this very obvious situation. I'm not gonna be well, this is horrible, but this is also happening over here. No, that's not what I'm doing. I'm saying that if this guy really wants to talk about tragedy, why particularly this case? Why this case specifically? Is it because it feels like it's an attack on a white person? Is it because this feels like a racially motivated crime, and you're against hate crimes? Yet you have never meaningfully covered, again, anything in regards to Israel-Palestine. Come on here, show me a line of consistent logic, instead of opportunistically grasping at a story so that you can put yourself on a camera and act sympathetic reviews.
Feel free to laugh at Americans. DeCarlos Brown was a man who was a repeat offender. He was released not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times. No. We're already past Super Saiyan 4. Goku would shudder in fear. We are already past the 7th stage of Ultra Instinct.
Why are you okay? We're talking about fucking Dragon Ball as a point of reference to this tragedy of the story, dude. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
Man was released 16 times. A repeat offender. 16.
Okay, so this guy is a career criminal. All right, now that's actually really important to the story. That's good to know, because that way we can start deciding whether this was like a racially motivated crime or if the guy was just an indiscriminate psychopath. And it appears to me that the guy was an indiscriminate psychopath.
15 times. Man, are you telling me that someone can commit a crime, sometimes even the same one, a multitude of times, and be released over and over and over and over again? And the more I look into it, the angrier I get. Allegedly, the court judge was also black, who let...
Good one. Good one. Great going. Amazing. Amazing stuff. Yeah. All right. This is definitely a racially motivated. This is definitely racially motivated rhetoric. I don't know. I don't know what other way to like put it. This is going to be, instead of focusing on the fact that people are committing more crimes because situations are getting harder, instead of focusing on the fact that a lot of the people that are responsible for crimes such as these are career criminals, not necessarily those that are exclusively to one race or another. Instead of focusing on the fact that, you know, what happened here is a tragedy and we should respect the life of this girl instead of trying to politicize it and make this like, you know, racial politics and identity politics. No. Instead of being respectful to the story, what we're going to do is that we're going to sit in front of a camera, pretend like we care, pretend like we're so emotionally invested and angry at such a tragic situation, and then talk about race politics instead. And then talk about how this judge is black and is giving black people that have 16 offenses an easy time to get out of jail.
This man let go. Apparently, she was paid off to do so, and this man walked.
Apparently, she was paid off to do so. Can I get a source for that? Can I get a source for that? All right, okay, fuck it. We're looking into it. We're looking into it. This is fucking gross. This is so gross. Who's the perpetrator? Tectone is saying that a prior judge that this individual had was paid. Okay, so the perpetrator is DeCarlos Brown Jr. according to this article. Teresa Strokes is the judge that Tectone is referring to. Charlotte judge who released. Apparently she was paid. Paid by who? Could have been anybody. Maybe the city, maybe the state, whatever. I highly doubt it though. Judge Teresa Strokes has distracted scrutiny on social media after it emerged that she presided over a previous case involving DeCarlos Brown Jr. months before he was accused of murdering a Ukrainian refugee. Has been charged with the murder of 23-year-old. Okay, don't care. I already know those details. Records show that Brown has been arrested 14 times in over a decade and was diagnosed with schizophrenia. All right, I see. So this guy is legitimately an indiscriminate psychopath murderer. This likely has less to do with his race and more to do with mental health. And again, you can sympathize with that because mental health can make people do things that they wouldn't wouldn't do otherwise. With this person, especially when there's thousands of people that walk our streets every day, if they were not dealing with schizophrenia or a mental disorder, have gone out of his way to murder this girl if he was unafflicted by something. Probably not, considering thousands of other people do not, ram their cars into us or stab us when we're just walking by them on a regular basis. So, I feel like Tectone is purposely ignoring key details to make this into a racially like charged argument. He has previously been convicted of felony larceny, robbery with a dangerous weapon, and communicating threats, leading to a 6-year prison sentence in 2015. For incidents dating to 2013 and 2014, he was released in 2020. Months later, he was charged with assaulting his sister. Okay, so it appears that he got appropriate jail time, or maybe even like somewhat of a. I don't know how much felony larceny gets. I'm not gonna waste time researching it, but he apparently he got a 6-year prison sentence, 2015. So he might have been properly convicted here. Released in 2020, months later, he was charged with assaulting his sister, which typically domestic assault doesn't get that much time anyways. It's usually just like, you usually get like, maybe you get probation, maybe you get jail for like a year. Maybe you have to like go on a strict restraining order. Stunks is a magistrate judge for the Charlotte district in Mecklenburg County. Good fucking name. Mecklenburg County Court, North Carolina. He's also been linked to a charity that provides mental health and addiction support by social media users. Okay. I understand. It makes sense now. In January 2025, Brown was arrested for alleged misuse of the 9/11 system. Okay, so that details here. And was released after signing a written promise to appear at his next court hearing, according to court documents signed by Stokes and seen by Newsweek. This is a tragic failure on several levels. Yeah, there's no way that anybody could have reasonably assumed that this guy would have gone to kill somebody. Especially when this person was like, okay, here's like probably what occurred. A lot of judges these days will typically ask somebody who's like, convicted of a specific crime to get a mental health evaluation, because it is entirely possible. It is like, I want to say this is relatively new. That this is something that I've only started to notice like just a few years ago. There's a lot of judges nowadays that will ask you to get like a mental health evaluation to see if that could have played a role or influenced like your behavior in any way upon the time that the crime was committed. So say for example, you rob a store and all you take is like maybe $20, $50 worth of like merchandise. Probably because it was like, a piece of clothing, not necessarily like, designer clothing. Maybe like you're at Walmart and you just stole like a couple like, pieces of clothing. Let's say you get charged for that. A judge is going to be like, well, why did you steal this? What's your mental health like? Like, how are you, what's your living situation? A person could respond with, oh, I've been homeless. I'm in like severe mental anguish. I haven't had a career or a job in like 10 years. I stole the clothing because winter was coming. It's like going to be really cold. I need some sort of like shelter, blah, 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 blah. Obviously, those things are going to be taken into consideration, and the punishment for your crimes is going to be significantly different than if you had just done it because you felt like it for no better reason. So, in a situation like this judge was probably one of those individuals that, again, given the fact that they have ties to mental health and addiction support, it's likely that they believe that this individual probably just needed a little bit of support, did not need to be charged for, like, misuse, did not need to be, like, severely punished for something like that, given the fact that there are influences here that are out of his control. And it was like, you know what? I don't think it would be appropriate to lock this person up and continue prolonging this guy's like, mental health issues by putting him in jail simply for the misuse of 9/11. Nobody could have ever predicted that this person would have gone to kill somebody. Or I mean, you could have predicted, but that would be like saying that the moon's gonna turn red in like 60 days from now. Because yes, a schizophrenic is obviously more likely, or a schizophrenic intuitively, not based on any statistics, but most people would assume, probably irrationally, that a schizophrenic would kill somebody because of their schizophrenia. I'm not going to say that they have a higher likelihood because I don't know, but most people would probably make that assumption. So, yeah, it makes sense why he would be released on cashless bail in a situation like this. Because, well, if he's mentally ill, he was probably influenced by his schizophrenia to misuse the 9/11 system, and it doesn't merit a severe punishment. So, yeah, they don't assume it out of nowhere. I think when it's mental health issues, they should be asking if that played part, but I also think we need to ask if them taking drugs to cause them to have a mental breakdown as well. Yeah, absolutely. As far as I've heard, as far as I know, schizophrenia can have very, very adverse reactions with like certain drugs, particularly cocaine. I think I'm pretty sure that cocaine can definitely have severe negative effects to schizophrenics, and as we all know, cocaine is an extremely common drug these days. The unseen failure is the dismantling of community mental health care. Brown was mental health problems, was doing mental health treatment while on the streets? Unfortunately, for some former offenders, the only place they receive mental health care is in jail or prison. And that's not a good thing. And that's not a good thing, because while they can receive mental health care in prison, it can be heavily worsened or exacerbated by people around them that don't have a respect for mental health. And given the fact that a lot of people who end up in jail tend to be uneducated people, it also just so happens that those people don't take mental health seriously and will treat somebody with schizophrenia like a lunatic and potentially worsen their behavior. Should a judge send someone accused of a crime to jail simply because they are mentally ill? Yeah. Should a judge do that? It raises an ethical concern. At the time, probably not. After the fact, how are you going to apply a murder retroactively when somebody can't predict the future? The magistrate had to consider the specific crime at issue, misuse of the 9/11 system, past convictions, which appeared to have been more than 10 years earlier, feasibility of even a cash bond and other related factors. Hindsight is 2020. Yeah, I agree with what this person is saying. To hold this person accountable, to utilize all of this retroactively to worsen these potential mistakes, or to in hindsight make them appear significantly worse, or these actions significantly worse than what they are. And by actions I mean like not punishing him appropriately, quote unquote, based on what these people are saying, it is absolutely idiotic. Nobody could have ever predicted that some of these crimes could have ever resulted in murder, especially after 10 years. Especially when the most recent conviction was something as simple to apply this tragic situation retroactively to worsen in hindsight, to shine a negative light on actions prior, and claim that there was a failure of the justice system because this person wasn't convicted and thrown in jail for misusing 9/11 is absolutely dishonest. And people are going to run with some of these narratives specifically to worsen this narrative on the grounds of like racial injustice is what's going to happen. And it's going to turn into a black versus white situation all over again. That's extremely gross.
And this man walked free and killed an innocent woman. Now I want you.
Okay, so to correct this guy's misinformation that he's stating right here, this man walked free because the crime he was being convicted, or the crime he was gonna get charged for, was the misuse of 9/11 as a schizophrenic individual who may have misused 9/11 out of fear for his own safety, or for the fear of somebody else's safety, or for fear because of mental delusions. Nobody within that moment, not knowing what will happen in the future, that is a completely fair thing to not throw somebody in jail for. It makes sense. Where are you getting the idea that this person was paid to release this individual? So already we see the Tectone is just spouting misinformation, and including black versus white rhetoric in the beginning of his of this conversation. Why?
You know what? Imagine this. And there's a lot of mirror.
And I just realized this was all for fucking Tectone. Yeah. I do this frequently. Whenever I cover situations where somebody's talking about a topic, I always go on on a side tangent and start researching the claims to make sure that they're just not fucking lying to me.
First, to George Floyd. The George Floyd thing happened several years ago, which sparked.
Great one. Good one. Great. Wow. Yeah, dude. Keep stoking the racial divide. Keep stoking the race cards, pal. Yeah, that's totally what we need right now. Off the back of a tragic situation where a mentally ill individual murdered an innocent woman that had so many years ahead of their life to live, that has escaped tragedy. You want to turn this into a racially charged, a race politics motivated situation for a narrative. Good one. Great fucking job. Great job, Tectone. You care so much about victims. You care so much about these situations. It pains you to your core, even though you're utilizing this to carry a very specific motivated narrative. Good one. Great fucking job. Wasn't he supposed to be on break? Yeah. Wasn't he supposed to care about getting down to the truth of situations? Weren't you supposed to care about getting the facts straight? Weren't you supposed to care about not getting angry? Come on. What a pathetic fucking wretch.
Whole Black Lives Matter movement. This is a very similar but different scenario because George Floyd had a criminal history.
This guy also has a criminal history, by the way, which he served time for. And then 10 years later, he was not a repeat offender, except for what appears to be a 9/11 conviction or a 9/11 misuse.
He was on many different types of narcotics, lots of fentanyl in his system. He even held a pregnant woman at gunpoint. Very different scenario between George Floyd and Eden.
Good one. Great one. Amazing stuff. Great fucking stuff. What a fucking disgusting freak.
Zaruski. Due to the fact that this woman wasn't guilty of any of these previous charges, she had no criminal past. The only thing she was guilty of was getting on public transit. She got on public transit. She even had a Black Lives Matter flag.
Yeah. Okay. What relevance?
In her room. She even had the I Can't Breathe.
Also, I'm pretty sure that's not true either. I'm pretty sure that's not true. Apparently that wasn't her room. But that's besides the point.
In reference paying homage to George Floyd, and she was murdered in cold.
You know what? Thank you, Microsoft PowerPoint 2013. How did I not think of that? That's true. Why couldn't I just phrase it that simply? He's a reactionary because all he talks about is stuff people talk about. Just jumping on the other side of the consensus bandwagon. I agree. Yeah, okay, that's a lie. If she was in her friend's room, yeah. If I recall correctly, I believe that was the case.
She wore a fully concealed outfit. She was not dressed.
Relevancy, motherfucker. You're failing to consider. You're failing to like bring into the You're failing to take in a very important variable. This guy was a fucking lunatic schizophrenic. Okay, this guy was literally a fucking psychopath. Well, that's probably not true. Saying literally a psychopath, that's probably very, very disrespectful and diminishes the situation. But you're failing to consider a very valuable aspect of the story. The guy was mentally ill. I don't think it matters who sat in that front seat. I don't think it matters whether it was a woman. He saw an opportunity, probably because his fucking schizophrenia was making him act out. He probably maybe was on a drug of some sort at the time. I don't think it really matters who, and I'm willing to bet money on this. I genuinely don't think it matters who was going to sit in that seat, regardless of whether this woman was dressed inappropriately or not, regardless if this woman was a man or black. I believe he would have gone out of his way to murder that person regardless. So he does take, but what was she wearing question seriously here? Yeah, it's fucking insane. It's actually so fucking insane. This fucking Tectone guy.
Any type of sexual way.
Who cares? It's irrelevant. I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters what was going on here. It does not matter. This person would have committed that crime regardless, regardless of who sat there.
She was not mumbling any type of racist rhetoric. She was a normal girl. And I'm trying not to get too upset about this. And this is why I'll never do good in the political scenes, because I have too much empathy.
Because you're a fucking retard.
I have too much empathy for the people who I care about.
You have too much empathy. You have too much empathy. You know what I was saying earlier? Even a slightly empathetic individual can empathize with a murderer. Even obviously it's not a justification or a defense of his actions. But even an empathetic individual can empathize with a murderer, can empathize with a criminal in most cases, because there are nuances to understand. Now, is that me absolving the person of their crimes or attempting to run defense for them obviously committing an atrocity? No. It is simply saying that when you look at the details, when you actually research the situation, you can be like, you know what? That's a horrible situation. But unfortunately, these are the circumstances that led into that situation occurring in the first place. And that is a form of empathy. That is literally a form of empathy. Not in the sense of, oh, you feel bad, but in the sense of you can look at something, you can look at an individual, you can look at their history, and understand, at least to a certain extent, why they commit a certain action, or why they behave in a certain way. Because fundamentally, that is what empathy means.
And seeing this girl who was fully dressed, fully covered up. This was a beautiful, beautiful girl.
I'm starting to think that this guy only cares because I'm starting to think Tectone only cares that this woman was white and a beautiful Ukrainian girl. I think that's the only thing he cares about. I genuinely think that is the only thing he cares about. That is incredibly fucking... Dude, she's fucking dead. Stop fantasizing about how beautiful she is and about her clothing. You disgusting freak.
From Ukraine, gorgeous.
Why you say it twice?
Wearing a hat to cover her hair, looking down to make sure she doesn't attract any attention.
What a fucking gross freak, dude. I don't think it would have mattered, man. If anything, that just proves my point further. It doesn't matter who this person would have been in that situation. It doesn't matter. Like that just proves my point further. If you couldn't see what she looked like, if she was disheveled at the time because she was wearing modest clothing and she was covering her face so that she wouldn't attract any fucking attention, you gross perverted freak. You're thinking about potential rape in this case. Fuck. Then that just goes to show that regardless of who sat there, the result would have been the same.
Long sleeve shirt, long pants.
Why is he still going for it?
And she was just on her way back from her job. I believe she worked at a pizzeria.
Yeah.
Browsing her phone. Long day. Browsing the TikTok. Not making eye contact with anybody. Just sitting down, minding her own business. And this man, this fucking monster, this fucking animal, sits there mumbling to himself on a window, pulls out his knife, looks at it longingly, gets up, and
great way to show respect for a situation, pal. Great way to show respect for a situation. Amazing. Amazing respect for the situation. Amazing respect for a tragic situation.
This woman with no remorse,